Okay, so our icebreaker question for today. What's your biggest time waster? What's your biggest time waster? Like that's, I will say this. I'll tell on Ed Bott for a second. He came in talking how tired he was because he was watching TV late. So, all the way.
I turn mine off.
Up to 10 o'clock. Like that. That's it's. You'll find out. You just relax. Oh yeah. I understand. It was just, it made me laugh when you came walking and talking about it. I was like, oh man. First question. I think that's. Does anyone else have any time wasters that they have? Right? No. You're looking for time wasters. Is that why you spend your time here?
My kind of
Sunday morning. Like, is that your biggest time waster?
yeah. Most important.
Most important time waster. Yeah. No one has time wasters. Well, is this a millennial? Is that a and kind of what it, like it's the millennial people, my generation, we call it doom scrolling, when you're just going through some social media, or you're just get you're not really even looking at anything there. It's just like something to do, like that.
This cord is unburdened.
Yeah.
You don't this.
That's
a time waster.
oh yeah, no, it totally is. But there's nothing. Well, you guys are no fun here. I thought we'd be getting into like the nitty gritty. Like it's the one thing about the next couple of weeks of the serving challenge is that we will be talking, and this one gets into it as well. Is we're talking about availability, and we're talking about action this week, and so what's the next word after that? Ability. It's running my book. Yeah. We got all the sermons written on with. I remember it. Yeah. But he's really like, it's something that I really saw when I was in Bentonville, and being around like, pretty really busy younger people, and just like this sense of not having time, and I remember I was reading a bunch of books about time things and what during all of that, and a lot of that education has come back up again with the serving challenge. 150 years ago, a sign of wealth, was that you did not have to do anything. Leisure, like over there. And in the last 150 years, that's changed. Where, like, a sign of wealth is, non-slothfulness. Like, oh, how busy are you? And it's like, oh, you're always making deals on your phone, and always hustling, things like that. And it was fascinating to me to see that, but to see it all around me there, but to see that transition happens. And I think that is kind of I don't know, it's an American value that I think a lot of people in my age bracket especially struggle with. Like it's not so much just the appearance of the appearance of business type of thing, because you're kind of saying you're important to all of that stuff. So the reason why I say that is that's kind of what Zach's video is about, and all those things, and the way you guys are not answering time wasting questions. Yeah,
it's not mysterious if you look around the table. We're in an equal, we understand the value of time.
Yeah.
We're in a different place.
Yeah.
Them.
Yeah.
And so we choose to do something. We like to at least convince ourselves we're not wasting this fire.
Okay. Well.
We're not trying to be difficult, but that's Do we agree on that?
I could.
We only have so much time, so
Yeah.
put it to good use.
Well, and I'm getting a sense of that too. I think I said this last week, but I'll say it again here because we have people that weren't here last week.
Thank you.
I had when we were up in Daytona at the Pastors Conference, we're sitting around eating some steaks that I cooked perfectly, I might say. and one of the pastors, who's 2 years older than me, he goes, "You know what someone told me today at church?" It's like this. It's like you got to indicate it's like a middle schooler or something like that. Came up to him at church. And he goes, and this person said to me that I was 16 years from 60. And he goes, "I can't stop thinking about that." And then he said that, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about that either. Since I'm like, well, that means I'm 18. Yeah, like that. That's and like that. That's it. It distilled it to this finite thing. So you're talking like your guys' limited tracks that you may be running on. It reminded me of that. It just made me funny. It made me laugh how he said that. But all right.
Well, I don't think anybody here is laughing about the short track.
No, you're not laughing about the track. I'm laughing at how it was said, and like that. That's it. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's start the old video here. Let's see. What about this button? Come on. This.
Welcome back to Serving Challenge. We are embarking on a 40-day journey that in the end is going to lead to more purpose, meaning, fulfillment, and joy than you probably ever thought possible. In this 40 days, I'm challenging you to serve like Jesus, and we're learning from the master servant himself, Jesus. Today we're at a cool location here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's called Robbers Cave. And when I say cool, I'm talking like literally cool. It's 55 degrees year-round, feels just right. And so thus far in our 40-day journey, last week video, we talked about the importance of attitude, that before we go out and serve and try to make a difference in this world or do all these things, we got to make sure our attitude, our heart, our mind is in the right place. We remembered that we're not serving, of course, to make our name great. We're not serving even to earn our salvation or earn God's favor. He's already given that to us. We're not even serving to check boxes or like because we have to. We're serving because we want to, because Jesus first served us and loved us. So then, once we got the right attitude, we're totally ready to serve. Or are we? That's the question I want to explore. As I look to Jesus, even before he descended and came down into this world, think about how busy he was controlling all of creation. And the fact that Jesus would come down into our world to make himself available to you and I, to rescue us from our sin, is quite incredible. In fact, I love the way it says it in Philippians 2, verse 6 in our Christ hymn. It says that Jesus, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage, but rather he made himself nothing. When I read that line, I'm in awe that Jesus would descend and come down and be available to come and get us. Isn't that amazing that God would do that for someone like you? And so that's the question I want to ask you in this video is, are you available to serve others? Because I think, honestly, there's a lot of us that are listening to this that we maybe have the right attitude. It's coming from the right place now, and we have the right intention. We want to serve. But sometimes the reason we don't is a really practical reason. We just feel like we don't have the time. We're maxed out, our calendar's full, we have no margin. In fact, when you talk to people and ask them how they're doing, one of the most common refrains I usually hear is busy, or good, just busy, or busy season. And however ways we say it, it means the same thing. We're feeling too maxed out. Stress levels are at all-time highs. When will we realize that just filling a calendar doesn't always equal a fulfilled life? From 2000 to 2007, Michael Zigarelli conducted a study at the Charleston Southern University School of Business. More than 20,000 Christians were involved, 20,000 people that profess a faith in Jesus. And they found that one of the top deterrents for a quality spiritual life was busyness. And right at the top of that list was pastors, right next to doctors and lawyers. And so I'm not speaking from a pedestal here, but I'm saying, man, something about our busyness levels just isn't right. Corrie ten Boom once said, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And so how busy, though, are we? I think sometimes we feel like we are. We say that we are, but are we really? In fact, the study was commissioned 2000 to 2007, which was the 7 years prior to smartphones being owned. And I would say the world's gotten more complex and complicated since then, for sure. New research is showing that the average person is 4 to 5 hours on their devices, maybe an hour or two every single day on social media. And so are we really busy? Or could it be that the things that we're looking to give us rest and peace are actually empty pursuits and trivial and leaving us more rushed and frantic in the end? And so I don't know how busy and rushed and frantic you're feeling, but when we follow the ways of this world, we're going to continue to just sort of follow into the norms. And the norms are rush and hurry and frantic and frenzy. But God offers us a different way, a way that says you don't need to go up, 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 and up. Rather, a way that says you can serve others and go down, because so many have reached the top of whatever it is, and they found that at the top, if Jesus isn't there, that's as empty and as hollow of a pursuit as the very cave I'm in right now. Believe it or not, Nebraska's not really known for its caves. That doesn't shock you, I'm sure. Steak, corn, and maybe 90s college football, but not caves. In fact, the one I'm here in Lincoln is literally the only cave in all of Nebraska. And it's got kind of a cool story to it. The walls are made of sandstone, which has allowed people to leave their marks on the wall. And so you literally have history on these walls, good, bad, and in the middle. And much like these walls, people have left their mark. Don't you know that you and I also leave our mark in this world, good, bad, or in the middle? And so my question to you is, what mark are you leaving in the world? Or are you too busy to even think about it? You know that word busy, I've used it a lot. I want to clear something up. Being busy isn't bad. It's not wrong to have a lot on the calendar. It's certainly not wrong to enjoy all the amazing things that God puts in His creation. I think you can even make the case, as we've said, that Jesus was extremely busy. But there was something different about Him, right? One of my favorite theologians, Dallas Willard, was once asked, if you have one word to describe Jesus, what would that word be? What would you say? I know for me, I would think of words like friend, Savior, Lord, Redeemer, love, grace. But none of those are what Dallas said. So Dallas thought about the question, pondered it, and smiled, and in no hurry, he came up with this word, relaxed. Relaxed. That's not the first, 10th, or 100th word I would have thought of. But the more you sit with it, you see truth in it. That Jesus, having the most important task given to any human being, was in this world and had a lot on His plate, but He was never hurried. He was relaxed. If you look at the four Gospels, you see it over and over and over again. You see Jesus interacting with people that nobody in this world would give the time of day. He goes out of His way to befriend a man named Zacchaeus, a chief tax collector that everybody else hated. The longest one-on-one recorded conversation was between Jesus and a Samaritan woman, and Jews and Samaritans didn't culturally associate with one another, and it's the longest conversation He has with anybody. being available to serve those in need. There was another story where Jesus was on his way to heal a 12-year-old girl that had died. And so he was literally in a life and death situation. And another woman in the midst of a violently pressing crowd touches the hem of his garment. And rather than continuing on his journey, he stops everything, has a conversation with the woman, and heals and restores her. But the one that got me the most, Jesus was literally hanging on the cross, paying for the sins of the whole world. And I think if any of us would have ever been like, Jesus, it's okay to think about yourself and not others at this point, would have been that moment. And yet, in the midst of that, when a criminal that just moments earlier was mocking him asks Jesus to remember him in his kingdom, Jesus gives him the time of day, gives him a hope and a promise that tomorrow he would be with him in paradise. Jesus was very, very busy with the most important job of any of all time, and yet he always had time to serve those in need. He was available to those. And so as we think about Jesus and how he was available, what mark are you leaving? Are you available to serve those in need around you? Jesus was busy, but he wasn't rushed. Jesus had important things to do, but it wasn't in a frenzy. And so, are you busy? Are you too busy? I mentioned earlier, Dallas Willard described Jesus with this word, relaxed. There was another time that a young pastor sat with Dallas, and his pastor was feeling very frenzied. And he asked him the question, what must I do to become the me that I want to be? And it's a great question. And Dallas, true to his nature, thought about it, pondered, and in a relaxed form said, you must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. And the pastor jotted down the notes. Okay, great. Eliminate hurry. What next? And Dallas said, that's it. Hurry is the great spiritual enemy in our day. Wow. Can I just say convicted right there? I think that's a really awesome question for me and for you to think about. What must we do to become the people that we want to be? I don't know if we think about that often enough, because sometimes the ways of this world pulls us so much that we get caught up in the frenzy and the fast pace of this world that we start chasing after things that even if we get them, we're like, that's not even the person that I wanted to be. Sometimes even my mindset can go so futuristic, and I think if I can only get to that day, or if I get to this place, or if I have this here, then everything will be great. But I don't even know that if I get there, again, will I be the person that I want to be, that God wants me to be? Have you ever noticed that the words hurry and hurricane, they have the same prefix, they're in the same family? And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of my life feeling like a hurricane, being tossed to and fro and just totally out of control. Jesus offers us a better way, not a way that tries to accumulate as much as we can and just gets caught up in the fast pace of this world, but rather a way to serve others and help them not only experience Jesus, but to flourish in their lives today. But here's the reality. We're going to talk about ability later in the 40-day challenge. I think ability is really important. God's uniquely wired and gifted you. But did you know that you can have all the ability in the world, but if you don't have availability, then it doesn't really matter? In God's economy, God works way more through the available than the able. And so, are you available?
Pause that. Stop that. It hit the buttons in the right thing. Okay, so what did you guys think about what he talked about there?
Just relax.
Yeah, just relax. Yeah, like relax and all those things. Well, it's like we kind of established that this isn't some of your guys things and hang-ups. Why do you think he's focusing on it so much?
It's not as much younger as you're.
Yeah, no,
His legacy in a different place.
yeah,
So he is concerned about being busy pastoring, writing the next book, or releasing the next video. Again, I hesitate to speak for everyone at the table, but I'm not involved. But
yeah,
I'm kind of patting him my back, saying that time for Christ.
Okay.
The younger generation, it seems like a war on some kind of a device. I watch my grandchildren, great grandchildren, my kids, and they're sitting there hours up at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see the kids.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't even have a device. So
Yeah.
they can sit up, and I hate mine. I haven't. I just got a smartphone this year, and I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't bother, you'll end up hating it, really.
No.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
I vacuumed the carpets. I took pretty much all morning.
Yeah.
I just, I vacuum, go sit down for a while, because I have a health problem. I can't breathe if I do too much too fast.
Yeah.
So relax is part of my life.
It has to be. Or you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
You so mother still?
no, the kids today. I mean, pretty much.
Well, it's
You said much more.
it's too much.
Yeah, I watch the neighbors across the street. They come out, they play with their children. They go back in the house, they get in the car, they go somewhere for the evening, they come back home. They get back home late, they shove the kids into bed. They get up in the morning, go to work.
Yeah.
They always all did that to anybody.
Yeah, we did that.
We had-
But we weren't staring like this. all
No,
the time.
definitely not.
What are you talking about, James?
There's danger in being critical of kids today because we were kids, and I recall the generation before us was appalled. Had offered no hope for our future.
Well, I try to talk to my 12-year-old great-grandson. He comes to my house every morning to wait for the school bus. And I said, wouldn't you be interested in reading some books? Because I'm sitting there with that game thing. He says, oh, the books are very boring. I says, that's because you haven't read any and you don't know what you're missing. You just can't seem to make him grasp that fact that that's important. I don't know how to get to him.
Kids like are thinking themselves.
I don't deny I was busy when I was younger, but I didn't have a tablet, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have an iPhone until 4.
Yeah.
Like you might have had a chopped wood or
I had
something like that.
I had these kinds of things.
Right, weed the garden. Kids nowadays don't have anything to do.
Kind of busy. We had when we were younger recorded that we were actually burn out. We were intensely busy,
Yeah.
not doing this.
And it was physical busy, not
Yeah, outside. You don't see a child outside at all.
Well,
It's terrible.
if you didn't relax, you courted danger because of losing perspective.
I was in the hospital yesterday afternoon having a procedure done on my heart, and the
You seem like you're doing pretty good.
yeah, I'm in good health except for this one issue. But the girl that admitted me and actually just prepared me for everything that I was going to go through, explain the whole thing. And she asked me if she could bring in this girl that she was training, who was got to do the same procedure to observe and secure. And I heard her go through the whole thing with this girl. And I thought, this is a girl that's really, really busy. But she has, not only was she very professional and knowledgeable, but she had something that you don't see, at least I don't see often enough in life, and that was kindness. She was really kind. And she said, I'm required to tell you that this procedure can kill you. And she said, I need you to sign this thing saying you're aware of that.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't really have any pressing issues in my life right now. So but it does make you aware that, it is finite and at some point. And I felt like, it was just this. I think God put this girl in my life. So I spent the morning writing a letter to the hospitals to tell them how lucky they were to have her.
That's
because she was
what institution?
a Jupiter Medical Center.
Yeah.
But she was really, really very good with everything that she did yesterday.
Because you didn't have to be.
No, she could have gone through the motions. Like most of the doctors that I've been seeing far too many doctors at too many hospitals lately, but most of the doctors that I've run into are personality challenged.
Yeah.
They just don't. They're like rocks, and I guess they have to be, because if they got emotionally involved with every patient, it would be an almost unwinnable situation to be in. So I guess part of that is a defense mechanism that they have. But when my doctor came in yesterday, he said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great. How are you doing?" He goes, "I'm okay." You know, like
Yeah.
he was. So I just thought it was a contrast between the person who was going to do the procedure and the person who was actually preparing me for the procedure.
Mhm.
And I thought about what a difference there was in this too.
You did something important as well, though. You've acknowledged their life as well. How are you doing?
No, I'm fine. I mean,
Who asks their doctor, say, what's going on at home, buddy? Or have you had any bad experience with you? I said, no, how about you? You just,
Exactly.
yeah, it softens them up, because now we're relating.
You also took time to do the letter.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that was pretty easy. Actually, for the first time I used what's it called, the Microsoft AI,
Okay, yeah.
and I said, write me a glowing recommendation for a nurse who took care of me at the hospital. And it literally, 10 seconds, it wrote it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this doesn't sound like me.
Yeah.
So the AI would have to get to know me for the letter to sound like me. So I ended up having to write it myself. But I was just amazed at how quickly AI could just print out this thing. It was this long letter, and with very little information. I just said,
I use AI, stuff like that, all the time. Like I said, it's very rare that I actually use what it gave, but it often gives you all this things like, oh yeah, word it that way. You know?
so I guess if he uses it enough, he can say, not only write the letter, but then write the letter as I would.
Yeah, make it sound like me.
They can make it sound like you.
You really, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is. But I mean, when you think about it,
Think for yourself.
if you think about all the things that it's going to allow, like one of the companies that I am stock in is a medical company, and they say that they're going to be able to, where they would have to run tests to and game out the results. They'll be able to do years worth of testing in a matter of minutes. So there are going to be certain industries that it's going to be a godsend for, and there'll probably be some that it won't be particularly good for, because we may not need human beings to do that kind of stuff. I was talking to my daughter, who's a radiologist, and I said, your job's going to be obsolete probably in 2 years. And she said, they'll always need a human being to check on the machine to make sure that it's got the right diagnosis. But they can, I mean, when you think about it, a machine can look at several million images of a certain thing and learn what it is. It's incredible what they're going to be able to do with it.
It's yesterday I was picking music for Sunday, and I was like, I wonder if it'll do this, and with inside the window of my sermon, I went suggest some hymns, like all of that, and when it showed me everything that it looked at, and it looked at, I could tell it to look at more of these, but it looked at bulletins for the last few. This is located inside my Google, the church's Google work that is that. But it looked at the bulletins from the last 3 months and a couple other things. And it picked songs that we had already picked that we played recently. But it's I was impressed by that. Like, it was just the ability to, like, it did the same work we did. It just took us longer to do it. And like we and Kevin and I were working on it. But yeah, AI is cool stuff like that. But I'm glad you wrote the letter to her. And then one thing that I see, we're talking about people in different time frames and stuff like that. And Ed talking about his COPD. You just can't get out and mow the lawn whenever you want to anymore, or vacuum, or like all of those things. I mean, life kind of catches up with you, and there's a bunch of people that are busy, and if you're in a place in life where you're not there, like try to see it around you, like when you go to the grocery store or something like that, and you look at the people around that are over there, like it's the busyness of it all, and phones are the problem, screen time's the problem, but also like as someone who's in the midst of it, like there is a righteousness and busyness right now that is just in the water, and like I feel it, like I like all the stuff, and I think this is some of what Zach is saying. Like, just don't. Zach is some of the saying. It's like just get off the treadmill. You know, like you're just running around, that type of thing, and so like that's when they want now. But I think Mick was kind of getting onto something there in a second. You were talking about like when you were younger, you were just run. Yeah,
I was responsible for people's lives that you were,
yeah,
to some extent.
yeah. Maybe to a lesser extent, but yeah,
If I screwed up, somebody got hurt. Would die.
yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was, if I made a bad decision walking up to a building that was on fire, we could lose the whole building, we could lose the occupants.
Yeah.
now that said, at least in my instance, it was difficult not to bring it home.
Well, it's kind of like the story about Jesus going to visit Mary Magdalene and her sister, and the one sister's around cleaning everything up
Oh, yeah.
and being busy,
Yeah.
and the other one is, I mean, it's priorities. What's really important in your life? What seems important, but is
Yeah. Jay, that is the perfect segue. My next thing was, can you think of stories where you see where Jesus is in this unhurried manner? There's like that. So that's one of them where you have Mary and Martha. You know, where Martha's just scurrying around everywhere, and she gets mad at Mary. Like that's what are other stories? Other stories that it's almost odd that Jesus is so unhurried, is how we'll use that language.
when he was anointed with the expensive oil, and they got upset, like they wanted to save it for an important occasion, and this was the important occasion.
That's a good example too. Like that one.
When his friend Lazarus was dying,
Yeah.
I'll get there, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I like when he was sleeping on the boat. And
Yeah.
the storm came.
Yeah. That's a great example. They're like, don't you hear that we are going to die? Yeah, like that.
It's a little bit like this. Right.
like that's yeah.
Remember the
Yeah. Like are there others? Are there others? Like that's. No one didn't think of another one there. You thought of a couple that I didn't think of. That was
When the spies went into Canaan and came back, and they all said they couldn't defeat
they couldn't do it.
And
They're too big. They're too fast. They caught all those things. Yeah, I mean there's this idea of this kind of glorious sense of like unhurriedness, and I think like Ed, how you've described it, where your body just doesn't let you do it anymore. It physically cuts off your breathing like that. Like it. Whereas like if I live a stressful life right now, it affects me in slower manners. Like it's I can push through right now, but there's probably a time coming where where
We all can testify.
yeah. Where it'll slow down, and I mean, and that's kind of my point of some of it of last was it get all this stuff. I'm like 4 weeks out on sermons right now, and so trying to keep everything straight. But that there's with this idea of availability of people just keeping it all straight and I don't remember what I was going to say. Let's look at the Bible. Let's look at Luke chapter 19. I think this is an example, is a subtle example of what we're talking about. Luke chapter 19, and we'll put it up on the screen, is Zacchaeus. And this, I think, is a good example of Jesus being available. Why? Speaking of availability, why is my why is my Bible got on here?
I should have not used Please.
It's not a. I think my tab cracked, so I'm having to bring it up now. Watch this. Chapter 19, verse 1. Okay. So then we go to share. Okay.
Most Christians have servant Jesus.
Yeah. Well, and I think you have a
Tree.
little bit.
all right. So we'll listen to this.
We don't mean to see.
We won't listen to the whole thing.
I know that's
Then Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. So he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him.
Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house.
So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. But when they saw it, they all complained.
He has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner.
Then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord,
Look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold.
Today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost.
Now as they heard these things, he spoke.
Okay, we'll stop there.
Okay, so what are the details of the Zacchaeus story that kind of stands out to you that you think was there anything new in there that you felt was interesting?
Still the Matthew's tax collector.
He's a dirty tax collector.
Not only that, the chief tax collector.
Yeah, chief. Yeah.
He is special.
That's more worse.
Yeah. What did you say, Mike?
I say he's also burdened with filthy humor.
How did he get rich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he might have been,
What?
Skimming?
Yeah. What was it?
but now he's just
No. Filthy lucre?
Filthy lucre.
money.
Oh,
Oh.
I didn't know that.
That's an old.
That term is older.
Old saying.
Like
Probably not lawyers.
Yeah. He's then he turned it around.
Glory. He never
Sign of wealth. Fancy cars.
And so he's running around, I guess, with this filthy lucre, skimming off the top and all that stuff. I've never heard that term before. Yeah, probably. I know. It's I'm trying. I'm busy. And so let's see here. So what else kind of stood out to you there? Like, one of them is that Jesus actually stops with them. You know,
He's observing. He sees the sinner in the tree.
Knows his name.
that was his name.
It's your name.
What is absent is the backstory. Why is Zacharias?
Zacchaeus.
Yes, but has he contemplated this before? Is it mere curiosity? The Bible's text says he was curious. Climb up a tree and then engage immediately with Christ is more than just a curious.
Yeah. So something else talking about the busyness of Jesus for a second here is, so we have this parable of the 10 minutes right after, but if you look at what's right after that, starting with verse 28, that's Jesus going into Jerusalem on the back of the colt. You know, like this is like the story before Jesus goes into Jerusalem. You know, like to go in and lay off, like in when he's going into Jerusalem, like he's like razor focused and going to the cross, and that we're kind of heading to there. We're talking about, like, in this whole section of Luke, we're talking about all this like the powerful and the elite and how they want nothing to do with Jesus. And then here's this tax collector, you know, that is powerful, but I don't think he's part of the elite, you know, and suddenly he's climbing sycamore trees to see Jesus, and Jesus stops and hangs out with him, which everyone's like you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. And then what did Zacchaeus do? What did he do? Which is like once Jesus meets with him and he has a dinner with Jesus.
Just sound like you're trying to make excuses or say, you know, hey, I'm not really that bad.
Well, he gives up everything. Yeah. He goes. People are like, he's going to be a guest with the sinner, but then Zacchaeus. Yeah. He says, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay back 4 times."
Yep.
It's like he's saying, Father, forgive me for I have
Yeah.
It's been my whole lifetime since my last confession.
And
Attribute any meaning to the tree, the time the tree of life.
That's a fun way of looking at it. I don't know. It is like a fig tree, like a sycamore, like it's a type of fig tree. So a fruit tree. All right. Well, let's since Mick said stuff. When does Jesus in Luke curse figs?
That's different.
I don't see it right up. It's not around this company, but I'm not sure. I don't see it. But so I'll share this with you guys because I thought this was fun. I was watching some videos the other day, and someone was postulating that it wasn't Zacchaeus that was short, but that it was Jesus that was short. It's like he climbed the tree because he couldn't see Jesus. Well, through the crowds, it made me laugh. I don't think that's the proper way to do it, but I laughed out loud. Like that's in seeing this. Yeah, like he gives everything. Mark, it's in there, but it's not Mark. Yeah.
I wonder how much you told though.
Yeah.
In the footnotes, it says for that verse 8, it was a strict accord of the Jewish law. If you go back to Ezekiel, he was 22.
Yeah, so there's the 4.
Exodus 22. You're probably right, Exodus.
Giving half of his possessions and cheating 4 times the amount. 4 is more over and above what it says in the law. Like that was, and so it does talk about how you need to get back a certain amount before, Like he's going over and above what he has to, which is interesting. So then Jesus stops and talks to Zacchaeus and they have a dinner together, and dinners I contend are one of the most important things that you can do. Like that you have your best conversations around dinners and all of those things. So let's see here. We're running out of time. The other verses I want to look at is Matthew chapter 11, beginning with the 28th verse. This one is the context for around here is that John the Baptist comes up to Jesus, and he comes up to Jesus, and what John the Baptist does, what his disciples do, it's like, are you the one, or should we expect another one? And then right after that, there's all those woes to the unrepentant towns. I'm not going to read all of this, but in verse 20 it says, then Jesus began to denounce the towns in which most of his miracles had been performed, because they did not repent. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! Like he just goes, and it's a bunch of woe to you towns. Like all that, and then he says this, and this is important, and I'll read this. This is verse 25 through 30 of chapter 11. At that time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this is what you are pleased to do. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those whom the Son chooses to reveal him. So then this is what I really want you to pay attention to. Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And you have all these people questioning like who Jesus is and all this stuff. And I think a lot of times, and maybe just in work, we're looking for all this stuff to make sure we're powerful and busy, and whatever it is. And we may be in different sets and times and all of that. And we see that Jesus says here that like I know you're tired. I know you're worn out. I know you have problems, mowing the lawn because of the breath. We're having not kind nurses in the hospital because of heart things. We have all these issues. We have all these issues that we're dealing with, and they having all this stuff that we're having to deal with. Yet that God's way for us, I think, is this way of all those stories that we talked about, where we usually think importance is like getting all this stuff done, when it actually may be just like Jesus' yoke is easy and light. And I think when we have that sense, this is me talking to myself right now, we can be available for those other people, that even those people that we may disagree with, and we can be those people that, like what Jay got to experience, that can show that real kindness, and help when there's need to do it. So that's what. Are there any thoughts about
Any closing thoughts here?
about the hurtiness of youth or anything like that? Or the kindness? I changed this whole lesson out very quickly because I realized that you guys weren't going to get anything out of this one.
That's facetious. I appreciate that. Just you probably didn't consider, good men, that your audience is a little different.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's crazy about the church right now is that there is a dichotomy. It's a dichotomy, and I think it takes us all, to say slow down like that, and it takes us all here, which is a good thing. Which that reminds me, so a lot of people were in the first service to were in there. Something very funny happened in the second service. That involved boring. So we were. It was so we're talking about availability and slowing down and so we're hanging, we're doing all that stuff and doing the sermon and I was on like the last sentence and I heard a small voice from the back say something. I couldn't understand what they said, but then everyone over there started laughing. So I stopped, and I went, "Did you hear about this?" Like that. Oh, were you with there? You had come back by this. Okay. So like that, and he said, Jacob, and her great grandson there said, "When is this going to be over?" Or something like that. Has he done yet?
Has he done yet? Got a big mouth like
Hilarious.
a cooking report. Is that
And it was so and it was so on point for the sermon and all that because I was like, because I asked, I'm like, what did he say? What did he say? And that's like that's just a great example of like sometimes we feel like our own importance is the most important thing. Yeah. Like he was asking his mom, "Is he done yet?"
Chris says, "No." What did he say? And the chorus from the West said, "Is he done yet?"
It was a funny thing. It was a funny thing. It was a good.
They're all good songs.
Doing the two baptisms. We had two baptisms. So doing those two, and supporting one of our new families, and it was good. It was good. All right. Well, we will end right there. For everyone watching online, thank you for joining us today. Excellent. So, yeah, Leah's not even in here today. I don't know what's going on with that.
Your sister.
The people watch the recording. We get.
Rosa Shona, first day.
It's Happy New Year. Is that what it is? Is that why Lee's gone? Yes, Colwell from school today.